Ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to introduce our next panel, and we are going to hear from each of them who have their own unique expertise and bring to the table. As we did yesterday, we will ask some questions. I invite you as the audience to not only listen, but to actively listen, which means that you're also taking note and you're coming up with your own questions and perhaps ideas that we can piggyback and lead to inspiration for your own needs and questions. So first and foremost, we're going to have the panel introduce themselves. Tyrese, you're sitting on the end. We're going to start with you with the microphone. We're going to have you introduce name, your role and company, and then what is your favorite Disney ride? Here we go.
So, morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tyrese Manigault. I served, at Monday, I was the manager of employee engagement. I was recently promoted yesterday. So,
woo! Because they heard you were speaking here,
exactly.
Right? Yes.
It's because I was coming here. So now senior manager of employee engagement for NASCAR. And it was my favorite, so y'all are not going to like me. I have never been to Disney.
We need to talk, Tyrese.
I have gotten beat to a crisp with my team yesterday because we're coming to Sherm, and they're mad because all of them have been except me. So feel free to give me your tips, for sure, before I leave.
My name is Shoshana Leon. I am in Employee and Executive Communications at CSAA, which is the insurance arm of AAA. I live in Phoenix. And I'll tell you my most recent ride. Thank you. My most recent ride was recommended by Bree, who presented yesterday. It was Guardians of the Galaxy at Epcot.
Wow.
It's very fast-paced, and I'm glad that she recommended it because it was kind of a face my fears kind of thing. So thank you.
Nice. What song? That's right. What song did you get? What song did you get? The music. Do you remember the music on the ride? Do you remember the music? Okay, that's okay. That's okay.
Do you remember?
That's right. That's one of the songs. That's one of the
I'm Heather Rickart, and I am Senior Director of Internal and Executive Communications, and I also oversee employer brand with Zebra Technologies. You will now see zebras everywhere, barcode scanners, you'll see it everywhere. I haven't been to Disney in, I don't want to tell you how many years because it will date myself, but the ride, I was looking it up, I did do research for this, the Tron ride, because it's fast and it's agile, and you're in the dark a lot of the times, which I think we can all appreciate, but it's a lot of fun. So that's what I'll say.
There you go. I like it. I like it.
All right. Well, my name is Karlynn Holbrook, and I work for a famous rodent that we're on right now, so Disney. Funny story, in high school I worked at Chuck E. Cheese, so my husband teases me that I only work for rodents, so there you go. I am the Senior Manager of Digital Employee Communications and focused on employee advocacy. So about a year and a half ago, most of my 30 years of the company has been in internal communications, but about a year and a half ago, we actually split the function out where we have, under the same leader, we have a team that does internal, truly internal, intranet, et cetera, and we work very closely with. And then my team works on more of our cast from, we call our employees cast members from a fan perspective. So LinkedIn and advocacy and the ambassador program globally too, which all have Instagram handles. So I was gonna say Cosmic Rewind was my favorite attraction, but since I just got off the Disney Destiny cruise line ship yesterday, I have to be honest, like our cruise ships, and I'm not just drinking the Kool-Aid, are my favorite rides, if you will, of all of Disney experiences. So they're my favorites. So anyway, nice to see everybody.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Dave Cordero. The PGA Tour, just a couple hours up north in Jacksonville. So like Tyrese, did the drive this morning. My last conference with this group was, I saw Pinocchio, was in 2019 in Boston, and they did karaoke. So I don't know if y'all did karaoke. I don't know if y'all did karaoke. My title is Senior Director, Internal Communications. I've been with the tour for 9 years, and really look forward to doing this panel with you all. Favorite ride, so I'm so surprised nobody said Space Mountain. Love Space Mountain, but, and maybe you'll only appreciate this, I grew up in California, so we would go to Disneyland, and they have the Matterhorn there,
Yeah.
which they do not have here in Orlando. So I love the Matterhorn. And it's funny because I went on it a few years ago. I'm like, this isn't that fun. But when I was a kid, it was great.
I don't remember getting whiplash when I was a child. Yeah. Yes. Well done. Thank you so much for being here. And we just have so much expertise. And we talked about this before, our panels are packed with expertise, and so please be thinking, of questions that you have for them as well. But to kind of kick things off, and Dave, we'll just start with you because you're on this end, and last is first today. I want you to think, so many messages right now are coming out. It's a fast-paced society. People's attention spans are also very short oftentimes. What does effective communication to you in your organization and from your perspective look like? What does effective communication look like? And then we'll just kind of go down on this first question.
So I had it was maybe a curse and a blessing. 9 years ago, PGA Tour said, we don't have an internal communications department. Do you want to do it? And I said, sure, what do I do? Like, what is it? Sure. But I think, so I took a few months, maybe 6 months, to just kind of sit and do a listening tour and just absorb the environment. And the first thing I said is, there's so many dang emails that are coming through. It's unbelievable, and employee benefits wants to send an email, and this person wants to send an email. So at one point I raised my hand and said, guess what, guys? We're turning off emails. People aren't going to be able to send emails. You have to be an executive to send an email, which, by the way, I don't know why that wasn't in place anyway when you look at, like, the security concerns. Anyway, so what I decided 9 years ago was I'm going to collect all this noise, and I'm going to put it in a biweekly newsletter. It's going to be scheduled. You're going to get it every other Tuesday at 2 p.m., and that essentially has become the number one piece of content that we do. And so you think about, there's a Charles Schwab webinar. There is pet insurance available. There is a town hall. It's all curated, and we've taken internal comms. It doesn't come from me. I've created an internal communications alias. And the tone is very fun. It's very engaging. And I always tell people, because what ends up happening is someone will send me, our newsletter is called Tuesday Tap-In. Get it? Because we're in golf, Tap-In.
Yeah.
And they would say, hey, I need you to put this in Tuesday Tap-In. And the email would be like this long. And I said, you wouldn't even read this. Like, who's going to read this? So I think just a good practice that I've learned over the years is putting yourself in the shoes of your audience, of your employee. And it's like, think about the content we get on our phones. You're not going to read anything after like 3 seconds. You're just not. So you have to. So the way we write, it's very fun and in your face. The AP style inverted pyramid. Like, boom, here's what's going on, and we've had great success. So I think to answer the question, for us, and I'm sure you guys have heard a lot. Like, you can use this tool or that tool. Email still is the most effective, but it's how do you package it up and create a nice template and make it a fun newsletter. So that's what we've done, and our employees really enjoy that.
Cool. Karlynn.
I love what you said about speaking like a human. That's been a hard thing for us to really train our executives to do and train our HR teams to do, et cetera. It's like, we've got to stop with the corporate jargon. But I would say, like, for effective communication, at least at Disney, we have such a diverse group. We have frontline, we have back of house, we have executives, we're global. I think the most effective way to communicate is if the employees know where to go for what they need to know at that moment. So I think the perfect balance of push-pull communications, but we redesigned our intranet site about a year ago to make it a lot more user-friendly and pushing them. So now they know, go to Disney Cast Life. It's not just a hashtag that we created externally. It's also the name now of our intranet site. So everything internal and external mirrors each other no matter where they go. So I think that knowing where to find the information and then having leaders who know also where to direct them, because there's just too much to push. There's just too much in their face all the time.
Yeah, that's great. Heather.
I think it's clear, consistent, transparent, and honest communications. At Zebra, we didn't have the greatest year in 2023. We had a new CEO who replaced a CEO who had been there for 15 years. And the CEO now had been in the company, but it was, okay, great, here's a steaming pile of that is the company's revenue right now and profitability, and now we have to figure out how to get people to believe in you as well as believe in the company. So it was always honest and transparent. And I'll say this, the targeting communications is so important. I think I'm probably gonna see some nodding heads as everybody comes to you and says, everybody in Zebra, we call ourselves the Zebra Nation, everybody in Zebra Nation needs to know this. And you look at it and you're like, well, like I always say, like, communications, we sit at the top of the hill because we oversee everything. Then we sit at the bottom of the hill because we're actually doing stuff and we all know what rolls downhill. So we like see everything, and I think that's a hard lesson for us. We have to be very nice and very polite and say, well, not everybody needs to know about this one thing. Let's target it this way, and it is going to be more effective that way. So I think that's a long-winded way of saying that.
Oh, well done, Shoshana.
Well, that's perfect segue because I totally agree. The targeting is super important. We work on executive communications, and we have a lot of changes, and they affect a lot of people in different ways. And so it's how you communicate with the different audiences. It's providing the context, but you have to be effective. I mean, we got to be pretty short because there's a lot of stuff competing for their attention. But what is it that they need to know? Having an empathetic tone, explaining the why, the context, what do you expect from them as a result? I think all those things are important. And then also the timing. You know, when do you want people to hear things? Who do you want them to hear from first? We cascade things, and making sure that that's done correctly. I think that's also really important.
I don't know how I follow all of this up. I guess that's the point of being on the
That's
end.
right,
It's
that's
like,
right.
What do you say? I have
That's
nothing
right.
left to say. But perfect segue here as well is not just, timing. Timing is a big thing. Targeting and timing. Those are two big things that at NASCAR we're really unique because we race throughout the season. We race 38 weeks out of the year. We're actually in Phoenix this weekend, as a matter of fact. So you take that in consideration. We have so many employee-facing teams that everybody wants to say something. And from where I sit, I also oversee internal communication as well. And the biggest thing that I mentioned to those teams is that for as much as you want to send it out, and as important as it is, not everybody cares. And we just have to be honest and understand that what you're sending out will not relate to everybody. So targeting is necessary. But then we also talk about timing. We race every single weekend. So nobody's going to read an email on Friday. No one's going to read an email on Monday. So we send our emails Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Those are the only 3 days that you have to send it. And we don't send back-to-back emails to the entire company. So we have to be very strategic in who sends what, where it's going, why it's going. Can it be consolidated? Can it be combined with something else? Is it necessary? But I think the other point is also transparency. Our employees have always told us and continue to tell us, hey, we don't like to be the last people to find things out. We really can't stand that. It's like when something happens, it's like we find it on the news, like everybody else, like the rest of our fans. We've just come out of a lawsuit in NASCAR. So employees are sitting there like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen with the budget? Am I losing my job? What's going on? So I'm like, this is where transparency is needed. And who it comes from also matters. So sitting in human resources, it's easy to send something out and it lands well with employees, but then it hits different when it comes out from the president of the organization. So we have to take time to think who should send this out, what email alias should it come from, because that gives a sense of, I guess, comfort, and it relieves stress for some employees. So taking all of that into consideration, that's how we tend to go about effective communication is timing, targeting, and who presses the button.
Cody,
Yeah.
can I add
Please,
one thing?
yeah, please.
We play 43 events a year, and we're not in a lawsuit, but a foreign Saudi government tried to buy us. So we've been in some stuff ourselves. If I could just leave you guys with something, because I can't believe I didn't say this, and I think this would really go well when you go back to your respective organizations. What Tyrese said is so true about employees don't want to know what happened on X. They want to see on X and like, how come we didn't know? We did an employee engagement survey a couple years ago, and shocker, one of the number one things was the communications around here stinks. And it's so hard not to take that to heart. It's like, look, me? Like, no, just generally speaking. So one of the things that we did, and it is an absolute game changer, is every Monday morning at 8 a.m. So we have about 1,350 employees. Let's call it about 400 people managers. We send an email 8 a.m. It's called people leaders. That's the name of the email. Here are the things you need to know, what's nice to know, and what to do in 3 buckets. And the idea is that these managers take this to their weekly meetings. They can then pass things down. And the feedback we have received on that is so good. So in the instances where you're like, I can't send this, like no one cares, I bury that in the people leader. It's like, hey, FYI, this is going on. My newsletter is supposed to be all company facing, but if you can empower your managers to then spread the message down, you feel like you're doing your job.
Yeah.
I can build on that a little bit. You mentioned newsletter. We have a newsletter too, and that's obviously cut down on the number of emails. And to your point, somebody sends you a long thing. We have a word limit. We have sections. People know what to look for. But we also have a version for people leaders that also comes out. And in all of our communications, people leaders are a very important part of it. So we'll give them an advance notice of what's going on. So I think that's really important to keep people leaders in the loop and let them know before everyone else knows.
Yeah. How many of you in your organizations feel like communicating effectively is not maybe either understood or received as well as you would like? Does anyone have that issue or challenge in their organizations? No one wants to raise their hand because it's like, well, does that mean I'm not effectively communicating? But you are, and I think some of what we've already heard is that as important as the message is, it's often the receiver or how it's received is the biggest issue. Anyone have a connection to what you've heard or an insider question? Please.
Hi, and I've met some of you, but I'm Bree. I work for Hilton Grand Vacations, and we face this every day because everybody thinks that like their message is the most important, which it's not to say it's not. How or what strategies did you use? And David, I'll look at you because you're like, we just stopped. It's like we have a weekly email messages and things like that, but then all I hear is, well, nobody reads that. So it has to be its own message because that's the only way someone's going to read it. And sometimes I feel like we're just going down, like time is of an essence. We got to move on to the next thing. So we're just like, okay, let's just do what they want. Like it's not the right way to do it, but at times we plan and we balance. So how do you, like, and we've shown metrics and data and all the things, but we still have a few of our friends in the HR department. I love my HR friends, but who are, they're under these pressures. So I don't know, any tips or tricks or things like that, and for anybody, but I know David was specifically talking about that.
First, it sounds like Tyrese and I are in the same boat. I do internal comms, but I'm in HR, and so when stuff's going down, I'm like, you can tell me I'm an HR guy. Okay? Can I see your SHRM? No, I don't have that, but you can still tell me. It's a great question. I think, first of all, you need to, we talk a lot about empathy. If I was in travel, which I'm thinking of this guy that always comes to me, he's like, we got to get this golf cart safety. I'm like, dude, nobody drives golf carts other than like 10 people here. He's like, but you have to like, they're there, you're doing a great job, and almost like pump them up. They're being an ambassador for what they do every day. I mean, so at some respects, you have to acknowledge that they're doing the work, right? We have 5 different generations of employees, and so we have some that read emails, some that don't read emails. We have kind of a plug here, but we started using WorkVivo by Zoom. It's essentially like Facebook for work. I don't know if any of you are familiar. And so I tell employees, if they're like, hey, I got to get this out, I'll go on WorkVivo and post it. I mean, essentially it's like the intranet, but it's a lot more modern. We have digital signage around our campus. I know you guys do because I've been to your campus. So how do we use our digital signage? We just started a podcast, an employee podcast, which is really fun. So there's that option. And so and then the email we talked about. So for me, it's like, where does this message fit in here? And sometimes it's everything. And sometimes it's like, I'm going to bury this on WorkVivo and tell them it's good. But so you just have to kind of look and see. I'm sorry?
If there was a big announcement, do you send standalone emails for big events still from a CEO, or is everything just in your newsletters?
No, we will send big announcements, but they got to be big. And I would say nobody sends from their own email. It's all aliases. So we're talent and culture, not HR. Talent and culture is friendlier. So we have a talent and culture inbox, internal communications, office of the CEO. So there's things like that. But it's rare. I think we can usually hit people through our mechanisms. If the PGA Tour just signed Wells Fargo as a new 10-year sponsor, $10 million a year, that would probably be an email from our CEO, like, hey guys, get excited, we're making money. But usually not. They lean on us to put in one of our channels.
I'll tell you what, honestly, I feel like we're the same company because everything you just said, we just did in the last year. It's like I do the employee podcast either every month or every other month, depending on how busy we are. But something that he also talked about is how do you kind of pull in the reins a little bit with people who still want to do their own thing. I cannot tell you how many people I have pissed off in the last 6 months.
And you still got promoted, so hey.
Case in point. But a big piece of that is it deals a lot with culture, and it also deals a lot with people just coming out of their traditional mindsets of, hey, this is how we've always done it. We always send emails. It's like, no, we're not going to continue to send emails because you got race officials who are at the racetrack right now. They're not looking at their emails. Some of them are still struggling to navigate their own cell phones right now. So we're not going to do that. So what we've created is tiers that determine what an email is, when it goes out, who goes out from, or if it should be added to our newsletter, or if it should go to a target audience. So when we have things like big sponsors and like our Xfinity series changed to the O'Reilly series, that was something that our president sent out to everyone. We don't have to worry about that. But on the flip side of it, we have our wellness team, our learning and development team, our employee resource groups, our impact team that deals with volunteerism. You have me with employee engagement, and that is an account for every other little team that has something to send out. I now roll all of them into one meeting, and we have it every month, and we have an internal calendar that we look at through a platform called Monday.com. And we put all of our comms, all of our events, everything on here, so that way when they see this big rainbow of a calendar, because everybody has their own color, everyone is like, oh, maybe we should take some stuff. I'm like, yeah, now do you get my point? So it does take some pulling people out of their traditional mindsets, and that is honestly okay. I didn't want to do it at first until people kept looking at me like, why do we have so many emails? It's not my damn email. I don't really know what to tell you. So culture, traditions, and really determining what is quote-unquote qualified to go out as a all-company email.
Yeah, I'll just add on really quick to Tyrese. We did something similar. We used Monday as well for a planning tool, but all the graphs and the colors were like made all of our senior leaders' head hurt. So we took a Canva version of a calendar, but we did the same thing, and we listed out the priorities across, but we made them prioritize. So it wasn't just what our cast or employees or internally saying. We also put on there like new product openings, new attraction opening, new releases, so they could really see the breadth and depth of internal and external all together, and all the stuff coming at a cast member. Because if I work on the front line, I'm not just getting benefits information or annual enrollment or new procedures, new SOPs. I'm also getting, oh gosh, we just opened Tron, we just opened this, or this is coming. It's a lot, and I think sometimes when we work in silos, like if we work just in internal silo, that we're only thinking about the cast or the HR related stuff coming at them, but it's both internal and external. So putting all of that on paper and having them prioritize, it helps them to see it, and it also takes away the ownership and the territorialism, because sadly we have a lot of that territorial, right? We're all saying it. It's like, I work in this, and this is my project, and this is my campaign, and I want this out because it's the most important thing. We also do tiering, but we call it gold, silver, bronze, but we don't tell our client groups what the tiering is. That's a very key thing, because we don't want them running around going, oh, am I just a bronze? And then you ruin partnerships, right? So for us, it's internally, we classify every channel, like what a message is and what it gets based on gold, silver, and bronze different channels. And then when we bring it back to them, we're like, we treat the bronze as gold to their face. Like, we're telling them, like, this is the most effective way. We also use Viva and Teams, or, oh, on this article, actually a first-person point of view cast member talking about this would be the best way. So we veer them off an email, and they don't even realize we veered them off an email, a mass email and broad. It's like, it's not the 90s anymore. We don't spray and pray. We got to target with transparently in the channel, but we make them feel like this is the most effective way all the time. And it is, right? We're not lying to them, but we want to make sure that they feel like gold level, but really sometimes bronze.
Shoshana, did you have a point, Shoshana,
Yeah.
before? Or Heather? Okay.
One thing that we've tried to do is we talked about empathy a lot here, is to say, my team and I say, we don't say no, but we say no, but we could do something else. No, we won't send that email, but we could put it on our digital signage. All of our ELT has all hands meetings every quarter. Because we have, we're global, we have people online who are seeing it. We have hold slides. We call them advertising slides. So we'll put it on your on our advertising slides so that the global folks who are not in the room are seeing it. It's, so it's not no, but it's no but, which tends to help ease bring them down a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it goes back to the audience and the relevance and also the control. Like you were saying, how could anybody just send anything to the whole company? And we have it pretty locked down for that reason. And we do offer them, just like you, a variety of channels. They could put it on the intranet. They could put it on our, on our newsletter, things like that. But, it's also explaining, and they also say no one reads this, but we do have numbers to show they do. But also just explaining, and I hate to say this, but no one cares. Like you're sending some things, not everybody cares about it, and you need to target your audience. You will get better response if you have a targeted message to the people who want it. Not every single person in the company needs to know every single thing. So I think between having control over some of the lists, I think having relationships with our divisions and knowing the channels, I think we're able to have some control. Of course, there are things that, get past the system, but we try to keep some control over it in a calendar to help us manage.
I feel like I've met my people. No one cares. No one cares, and it's all about control. I love it.
That's right. This is us, team of one. A new question. Oh, sure. I got to give you this box though. I know, but it's the online people.
I'm sorry.
You can't project through the internet. I don't know.
No, I can't. Not that far. So I've done different surveys where in one case, a company was thinking of starting, they already had a newsletter, but it would be a weekly email summary, sort of a curated, all of those individual emails with just like one paragraph and a really useful headline for it, so people knew what was important. And we asked people, if we had something like that, would you be more likely to read the individual emails or the curated summary? And 80% said the curated summary. 2 other clients had already done this. And so we asked people who already now had this curated weekly email summary, which are you reading more now? Are you reading individual departments' information in this curated thing more or less than you were when they were individually sent out? 85% in both companies said they're reading them all now in the curated version, because they only have to look at it once a week instead of constantly opening. So if you need data with your executives, use the 85 and the 80.
Nice. I like that. And what did we learn yesterday from Microsoft? That nobody's reading anything anyway. They're just putting in ChatGPT and say summarize.
Okay, I have a burning question. It's also kind of a loaded question, so bear with me. I halfway wrote it down. So for some of us that are, like internally, we have an internal communications team, and then we also have our people team that has multiple divisions. So our training, engagement, and then comms is separate. How scenarios or recommendations would you have when a lot of the times we're told as a project owner from our side, from the people side, right? We have an initiative, a project, we work with our comms team to develop the messaging, the comms, the plans, all of that. We give a lot of the information, we say what needs to be added, they give their recommendation. I think sometimes where we struggle on our end is their recommendations overpowering anything that we're wanting to be included. And it being, sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. They sometimes feel disregarding from the project owner standpoint, overpowering that. But the last couple of days have been very eye-opening. I don't know if anybody else feels the same, of hearing the empathy approach, the fun, the engaging approach that disconnects. So I can hear the side of why the strategic comms is so important. And so I think it's more of how do those departments work together when one side is flexing, but maybe the other is not.
Yeah, I think we all have an opinion on this one.
I was like, it's a
let me
little
know when
bit
you're
of
done.
a
I got plenty to say about this one.
That's right.
I'll try to keep mine short because I want to pass it to a friend here. I think you've hit upon the classic issue, if you will, that communicators have. It's what I appreciate in my partners is, sure, you are the expert in your area, you're the expert in the what, but we're the expert in the how, and how the message is conveyed, received, and dictated, and how it can get through to people. Trust your comms team to do that, and know that if it doesn't have the 50 FAQs and all the different, trust us to pull out the what. Again, you're the what, we're the how. That's the way I would look at it, and trust that a bit more. And know that, yes, I love what you said about, like, there's training, there's this. There's lots of different ways to get a message out, and all of those should coalesce together in some kind of seamless experience for employees. It doesn't always work that way in all companies, but again, I think you've got to trust the communicators to do their job.
Yeah, just to add really quick, I'm so sorry. As you continue to share, thank you so much. I absolutely appreciate that side of it. I think the other part is when we have the data backed from surveys and from our team members that they are still missing that piece. It is challenging that we're hearing that direct feedback and trying to relay that back. Like, we do not want all of these long elements, but it's challenging when we have the actual data backing up what we're trying to flex on that situation and still not having any of that movement.
Yeah, I think if you establish mutual goals together, I think that is where you hit upon. Like, I know in my field, we get a lot from people of, I need an email, I want this, I want that. And I'm like, hey, you want fries with that too? Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Yeah, I'm not like an order taker menu kind of thing. Am I right? No? Nobody else? Okay. No, it's not a menu of options. So I think if you come and say, look, hey, this is the data that we're seeing, these are the issues that we're having, then let's create a mutual goal together. So what is the goal of the communication? Not what the communication, the channel is. What is the goal? What is the KPI? I love someone this morning said KPI was like, keep people inspired, keep people informed. I'm like, I love that. But I think establishing that mutual goal of what is the action you want people to take, what is the behavior change you are trying to drive, and what does success really look like, I think maybe you can get there a little bit more together, and then rely on the communicator to be able to give you the what ifs and hows and different strategic ways to do that.
I'll give you a kind of a living example right now. We're in the middle of, today is National Employee Appreciation Day. And at NASCAR, we're different. So we do a whole week instead of a day. So we've had Employee Appreciation Week all week long. Today is the last day of it. And something that I decided to do this year is create partnerships with all of our employee-facing teams. So for our impact team, our learning and development team, our wellness team, everybody that has something to do with employees and employee, support, whatever you want to call it. I said, here's what we're going to do. This year, the theme is Fueled by You. Get it, Fueled by You, because we're that's yeah. It was so corny, but so effective. But the theme was Fueled by You this year. So I'm like, what I want to accomplish is not just celebrating and appreciating employees, but I want to give them an opportunity to tell us what fuels them and how they want to be fueled, because not everyone is the same. So every single team had a day dedicated to them, and that was their theme day. And the call to action for employees was to click the link, and there's a Microsoft form, and you're able to give feedback on what that team is doing that's working, what's not working. But I'm like, every single team, you must have a question that ties back to communication, so that we know if employees like the content, want the content, how often do they want it, how would they like it received. Because that, instead of me just saying, hey, you don't need to send out an email every single week about this, now that there's data to back that up, when we have our monthly meetings, we're going to sift through all of this data so that employees tell us what they want to see, how they want to see it, so that way when we're making these goals together, it's not just someone having a biased opinion of here's what I think you should do, because I'm kind of looked at as the bad guy sometimes, because I'm telling you, hey, we're not going to do this, but we're going to do that. We're not going to do this, but we should do this. And then you got, well, who are you to tell me? The employees. I'm not saying it. They're telling you. I am just the communicator and the holder of the data, and I'm going to give you what the data says. So that way, as we work together, we know, hey, we don't need to send out an email, or we can just combine this into one email that comes out. So I know you talked about email addresses. there are some times when if we are doing a collaborative, activation, the employee engagement email is in there, so is impact, so is wellness. All 4 of the email addresses are there, and then we just blind copy the entire company. So that way, I'm not sending one, then wellness is sending one. I'm like, why? It's the same information. It's pointless. So using the data creates a very unbiased, strategic approach, because it's easy to be looked at as the bad guy or the bad woman or the person when we're just doing what's best for the company. That's why sometimes being in this position can tick me off a little bit, because I'm doing my job to oversee internal communications. Not because I don't like your content, but I'm just telling you employees don't want to see it. Every single morning at 8 o'clock, they really just don't want to. So that's my thoughts there.
I just have, we keep interrupting each other. One of the things about data is don't discount the unscientific data. So what we do is we have, somebody mentioned earlier, chats with their executives. At Zebra, everything is a Z in front of it, so we call Z chats. And all of our leadership team, a couple times a month, will sit with just randomly selected employees. We capture all of the questions and all the comments. Somebody from my team hosts it. All of our all-hands meetings, we capture all the questions and comments. We put it into a smart sheet, and then we code it. Is this about AI? Is this about strategies? Is this about M&A? Then at the end of the quarter, unscientifically, we call it our employee vibes spreadsheet. Then we can know what employees want to know about. Like, what are the employees asking? They're asking about strategy. So at the next all-hands meeting for the CEO, I go, we should add strategy to the agenda. Why? Well, here's our employee vibe spreadsheet. Is it scientific? No, it's not. It's just people asking questions, but it does go a long way. So don't discount the unscientific data either, because it will help you do your job.
I think also for what you're saying.
You should give her a call back.
right.
Someone write that number down quick.
You guys need to call somebody back expert. She tapped into the whole panel.
Maybe you do project to the internet. I don't know.
That would be IT's worst nightmare.
Oh. There we go. Hey, right? This is communicator. All right, Shoshana, start over.
I don't know how to follow that up.
That's right.
But, as you were saying, somebody was talking to me yesterday, I think it was Chris, about, how to have a better relationship between HR and communications. And I think it's about establishing these partnerships. Like in our company, we work with different divisions, and we're people in community because, we got to keep it cute and all that. But HR, and, we partner with them on what their communications are, and we have regular meetings. We check in with them regularly. We know their content. We know what they're doing. And as you said, communication is not an article on the intranet. That's not a comms plan. So we come to you, what is it you're trying to communicate? What are the best ways? So like everybody here saying, trust our expertise, when you have something. And if you do have data, we're reasonable. We'll listen to it, and, we'll see what's the best ways to address those things.
Hey, Shoshana, let's start with you. Oh, go ahead. Do you want to follow up?
One quick follow-up, too. I think also we need to be open-minded to know that not everything's a communication problem. Sometimes it is a training problem. Sometimes it is a leadership problem. Actually, a lot of times it's a leadership problem, I think. So I think there's also those things, too, that, like, we need to talk about when you have these things like, I need you to send out a mass comm. That mass comm's not going to get what you need it to do. You need leaders who are active and accountable, holding their people accountable, engaged. So there's another way to do it. And training, I think, is another key thing, too.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm done.
No, you're good. It made me think of something. I was the director of communications for a company, and we were celebrating one of the a diversity month, and we had a whole scheduled plan for that. And when it went out, I was blasted with all of the feedback that said the images that you used were not diverse enough, and we're very offended by that, et cetera, et cetera. And I just said, this was an executive leadership team post. It's an executive leadership team diversity problem, not the community. If they're not represented, that's the problem. That's the problem. Yeah. So it sometimes isn't. There's greater problems that are there. Shoshana, I want to start with you. New question. There are often breakdowns and problems in organizations with communication. And as a communicator, we either are preparing for those or we're repairing after it happens. How do you handle those breakdowns in the organization? Prepare, repair, or how do you go about doing that?
I think it's all, like I was just saying earlier, it's about your partnerships. It's about trying to be involved in the process in advance. And you were saying something is not a communicate. It might not be a communication issue, but people always come to us. Well, they're not coming to this event because you didn't communicate. No, that's not why they're coming. They might not be interested. They might not be available. This might not be something for them. So I think it might not be the right audience. So I think we're looking at it from those types of perspectives, and I think that just is very helpful. But providing our expertise in those areas, and again, thinking about things strategically, taking a step back and getting involved early on what makes sense for a communication plan.
Great. Heather, or go ahead. Repair or prepare for breakdowns? How do you handle that?
I would say, in the experience that I've had, especially at NASCAR, is first it was repairing, but now it's in that prepare stage is where we have a stronger relationship with our senior leadership team and our officers, that if there's something going on or preparing to happen, then we need to make sure that we figure out how, if we need to, and then how we're going to relay this message to our employees. Like I said, we've done employee engagement surveys. We're actually preparing to do one this year. And one of the lowest scores you typically see is two-way communication. Employees just feel like, hey, we don't know what's going on. And when we talk about two-way communication, it's not just, hey, the company didn't tell us, our manager didn't tell us anything, we didn't hear about anything, and because my focus this year is enablement, making sure that our leaders, our people leaders, are enabled to relay information, to say what needs to be said, because otherwise, if you wait on leadership to say it, you probably won't hear anything. Right. And that's nothing against them, but some things don't require an email to go out to employees. Some things is, hey, we're letting you know what's happened so that you can let your employees know, not just once, but again and again, and because otherwise they're just going to keep asking the same questions. And first of all, you're not going to make everybody happy, so we can just go ahead and kill that dream right now. But for the things that we can control, if we can prepare as much as we can, like, for example, the lawsuit happened. And in my mind, my first thought is people are going to be wondering if they're going to lose their jobs. It just is what it is. When you're going through a lawsuit and there's a bunch of money involved and this, that, and the third, and then you see a bunch of stuff on the news and you're reading on social media, if no one says anything, then it sparks fear. So I'm like, to cover this, we have typically our quarterly, what we call garage talks, and that's led by our leadership team, our president, and another one of our officers, and they'll get on and they'll call different departments together to talk about what's going on and what's coming up. When we were in the middle of the lawsuit, we had a designated garage talk where it was literally just president and another one of our officers sitting in a chair and just talking to the employees. Hey, here's what's going on. We know that you're probably nervous, you're afraid, you don't know what's going on, but here's the update in the lawsuit. I'm like, that is what they need to know, because otherwise, they read it on social media, people are going to be starting to look for other jobs because they're just going to think everything is going to crumble. So preparing as much as you can. It doesn't hurt to be transparent. Can't say everything, but for what you can say, I think it's important to share it with employees so that they know, and not in an email. And they do that because they don't want anybody to take information and just start forwarding it and sharing it out. When we do virtual calls and stuff like that, it is word of mouth. That's all you got. If you have bad memory, well, you just lost it. And that's pretty much it.
I just wanted to follow up on that. We stopped, well, maybe not we, I stopped saying transparency because I just don't think that is completely fair. Like, our CEO is never going to be completely transparent. He's just not. But he can be candid. So our communication is just be as candid as you can. But what Tyrese was saying, our town halls took a drastic turn in a good way when our CEO, so Tip, you guys have probably done this too. It's like, okay, we got to curate some questions just in case. Like, what are the questions going to be? And so this time we went to our senior leaders and said, hey, can you work with your teams, give us questions? So we had a list of, 50 questions. And I highlighted the ones that were like the hard ones. I'm like, oh, these are tough ones. He goes, those are the ones I want. I want the hard ones. I was like, really? And so the town hall, he actually said, hey, We have lots of questions. There's 5 tough ones. I'm tackling those. And the feedback even to this day, that was like 9 months ago. I just love how we attack the tough questions. So I think when you can be candid and address things head on, and if you can be someone from an internal comp standpoint to promote that, run at that, run in that direction, I think it builds a ton of trust.
Yeah. Hey, new question. And this will be our last question, because you guys have just answered some things, and time just flies when we're getting good stuff. So well done, everybody, and thanks for the questions from everyone else. Because we're in the Magic Kingdom, imagine you have a magic wand, right? And you now have the ability to change communication as it's done in companies worldwide. What would you prioritize as first or most important in your new design of communications for companies? You have the magic wand. You can say, from now on, communication will go this way. This is number one priority.
I think one thing that Bree talked about yesterday in her presentation, she talked about how they have a company intranet, it's powered by AI, and giving people the information that they need. I think we're getting so many things all the time, giving people personalized information that they need, that's relevant to them, that's actionable. I think a lot of times things are going out to a lot of people. They're not maybe as targeted as they should be. And because of technology, sometimes they can't be as targeted as we need them to be. So I think being able to have a magic wand, a quick way to be able to send things to people that are impactful and actionable would be a very good future state.
I would say communications needs more budget and more people. That's my magic wand. Yes, that's why I say budget and people would be amazing.
I would say for communications, it's important to make sure that it lives somewhere. And by that I mean when employees are flooded with emails and all types of things, and someone asks me the question, well, when did that get sent out and where is it? I'm like, go on the internet, because it's on the internet. So it's like a practice that we have at NASCAR is that when we send out emails, it ties back to the intranet. So you click on the link, and we tend to send everything out in graphics now instead of just putting all of the text in the body of the email. We send a graphic and say, hey, there's an update on this, or this is launching. Click on it to learn more. And then it takes you to the intranet. So that way when employees are trying to figure out where is it at, or they get bogged down with 30 other emails, they can just go on the intranet and it lives there, and they can continue to share it, they can favorite it, they can like it, they can do whatever they want to do. But we also have a 1-year retention policy on our emails. So if a year goes by and you're trying to go back and look for it, it's not going to be there. So I'm like, you have to make sure it lives somewhere until we decide, hey, this isn't relevant anymore. So that's something that I would prioritize, is making sure that every bit of information, especially important things, has a place that it lives and is easy for employees to access.
Cool.
I would say make communication mandatorily a part of every leader's job. And I mean by holding them accountable from top down, that this is a part of your job. This is not just some department over here that pushes things out or posts things on an intranet or does whatever. It really does. It would help our functions, and it would help messaging, because most often when we have employee surveys, the number one place that people want to hear from is our immediate leaders, whether it's frontline or not. So the leaders being good communicators, if I had a magic wand, that's where it would be, and true advocates for communications.
Well,
I told y'all I sit in HR, so sometimes my HR side comes out. I'm fighting internal comms, HR. It is, yeah. My HR answer would be, I would start with a great culture. I don't know how much engagement, culture, and recognition and appreciation has been discussed, because I just got here today, but I would say we rolled out an employee recognition and appreciation program, totally free. You guys can reach out to me if you want to hear about it. But it's no longer like, oh, cool, here's Tyrese's birthday, here's his anniversary. I'm talking like meaningful peer-to-peer recognition, and we have seen such a positive impact by that. You know, one of the biggest misnomers is that people leave organizations for more money. They leave because they don't feel appreciated. They feel like they're not part of the greater good. And when you feel minimized, you're like, well, what am I doing here? And so if you can build up your team members, that's when you're going to save a lot of those soft dollars of not having to rehire and train. And so you got to take care of your people. So I'd say start with culture.
That's honestly, and really quick, that's something. First of all, I just want to call out, Is that a microphone in a box?
It's a microphone in a box. It's a talk box, Tyrese. Come on now.
Talk box. No one tells me anything.
And we can toss the talk box.
Squirrel.
That's neat.
Yeah.
I need to invest in that. But something that I also say is to his point is appreciation. If a company does not have some sort of a recognition program, that needs to exist. That literally has to exist, because that takes a lot of the weight off of HR or any other team that leads that front. Like today's Employee Appreciation Day, and the call to action for today was to use our peer-to-peer recognition program to recognize employees. So if you see me looking at my watch periodically, it's because every time they come in, I have to approve them, and I keep getting dings. We were up to 600 when I got here, and they're still going. So that's why my watch is really getting on my nerves right now. But it keeps everything alive, because the prompt is, as you send one, the person who receives it then gets a prompt to send someone else one. And it just keeps going and going. This will go all day long. Now, it's going to piss off my teams and my phone and my boss, because she also gets the same notifications. But I think every single company, every business should have some sort of peer-to-peer, top-down and bottom-up form of recognition that everyone can recognize each other.
Yeah, well done. Hey, let's give it up for our panel. Thank you so much. You guys have done a fantastic job. Thank you. All right, we are going to conclude. We have come to the end. We've come to the finish line. We have put it in the
That
hole.
was so good.
We have rode the zebra. I'm struggling.
You tapped it in.
That's right.